Hello and welcome to a new video review, this time about the Vector Optics Sentinel rifle scope with a magnification from 10 to 40 by 50. Vector Optics is a Chinese manufacturer of rifle scopes and other shooting accessories. The company was founded in 2007 and they have a lot of experience because for a long time they produced products for other companies as an OEM producer. In the recent years they started to focus on their own brand, and so they introduced the Sentinel series of rifle scopes, which is a very affordable series. And this particular rifle scope, Sentinel 10-40 by 50, is their highest magnification rifle scope in this series. As I said, the magnification is from 10 to 40 and it has a 50 millimeters objective lens. The scope is designed for sports shooting, for small caliber rifles, but also for bigger calibers because it is shockproof up to about 300 Winchester Magnum. So it is also a good scope for someone who wants to try F-class shooting and does not want to spend a lot of money. Now this scope is completely made out of metal. The housing is nitrogen purged, which means you can use the scope also in cold environment and the internals will not start to fog. It is also waterproof. It has a 30 millimeters main tube. The scope is 405 millimeters long. The weight is 790 grams, even though on the main page of Vector Optics they say 750, which is not true. The scope is, as I said, produced in China and it has a 15 years warranty. The reticle is positioned in the second focal plane, which means the reticle stays the same at all magnifications, from the smallest to the biggest, it's always the same, which is perfect for sports shooting or shooting on very small targets, because you have a very thin reticle and on the biggest magnification, so you can make very precise shots. It is only one type available for this scope, which is a MOA hash type of a reticle, which means in the reticle are lines for reading your shots in MOA and make the corrections depending on what you see in the reticle. But this can be made only on the 20 times magnification, so only on this magnification the lines are true to the clicks on the turrets. The reticle can be illuminated in two different colors, red and green. The illumination is stepless, which means you have no off positions or intensity settings in between. The further you adjust, the brighter the reticle gets. When you come to the strongest illumination and go further, there's an off position, and then the next color starts. So in this case now the red one. Between the colors is a nice off position. The brightness, it's pretty bright in the illumination, which is too bright if you would use the scope for lower light, but the scope is not designed for low light shooting. The green illumination, what I noticed is on the strongest setting, even daytime bright. Now the ocular, it's very fine adjustable. It is very smooth. Then the magnification ring, also the magnification adjustment is very smooth, and you come from the biggest to the smallest magnification in approximately 180 degree. The main tube is 30 millimeters, as I mentioned. The parallax adjustment goes from 10 yards or meters all the way to infinity, and up to about 200 meters, what I've tested, the parallax is very fine adjustable, so it's not difficult to find the perfect adjustment. From 200 meters upwards, it gets a little bit more delicate because you have to make really small adjustments. Then the turrets both have a locking mechanism with a push and pull design. The clicks are in 1/8 of MOA, and both turrets are multi-turn turrets, which means you can make multiple turns with each turret in each direction. The clicks, the elevation range and also the windage range is 50 MOA, and in one revolution of the elevation range you get 7.5 MOA. This is not ideal because if you make multiple turns you always have to calculate how many clicks you make, because there is not a round number. It would be much easier if you would have 7 or 8 MOA in one revolution, because now you have to calculate 7.5. When you come to the 1 you have already 8.5 and so on. The turrets have no zero stop and they are very easy to adjust. When you're on the range you just make your correction, you lock the turret, screw this middle screw out, take the turret down, adjust that the zero is facing forwards, push the turret back down and screw the screw back inside, and like this you're already zeroed in and ready to go. Windage turret is also a bit awkward to use because you have 3 MOA in each direction. When you go further you don't have a round number. Also windage is a bit awkward to use if you need multiple turns. The clicks are nicely audible, but the problem is you don't really feel them. The feeling, it's not perfect. You have to really look at the turret when you make the adjustments, because you don't feel a resistance, let's say, for each click. Overall, I would say turrets or the entire scope is really decent for a price of approximately 280 euros. And what I forgot to mention, the turrets and also the illumination, all the parts are made completely out of metal. Now the optical performance. As I said, the scope features a magnification from 10 to 40 and has a 50 millimeters objective lens. The image through the scope it's pretty good. It's clear in the center and it is a bit blurry on the edges, but it's mostly noticeable only on the smallest magnification. On the bigger magnification, the blurriness on the edges gets away. Now, on the big magnifications, the picture is a bit milky or foggy, let's say, but it's still very decent for such a high magnification and for a scope in this price range. Now, the field of view on the smallest magnification is 6.63 meters at 100 meters, and on the 40 times magnification, the field of view is 0.91 meters at 100 meters. It's okay and not too small. The scope has a little bit of a tunneling effect. You see a little bit, let's say, from the inside construction of the scope, but it's not very much, so it's okay. Now the eye relief is from 85 to 92 millimeters, depending on the magnification. The eye box, I have to say, on the smallest magnification is pretty good, but on the biggest magnification it gets a little bit more hard to, let's say, stay behind the perfect picture. So what do you get in the box? A user's manual, then flip up covers for lens protection, a cleaning cloth, then mounting rings, which is a really nice addition that Vector Optics supplies the rings with the scope, so you don't need to purchase any additional ones. The rings are designed for mounting on a Picatinny rail, and the height of the rings is 20 millimeters. Then a zeroing tool for the turret, and what I find is very interesting that they supply the scope with the honeycomb filter. Okay, and now for a short summary. What do I like about this scope? First of all, the construction, that it's completely made out of metal, with including all moving parts on the scope made out of metal. I like the optical quality, even though I mentioned it's a bit milky on the higher magnification, but for approximately 280 euros it is a really nice picture. Then the reticle, it is thin and it's usable. It has even marks for making the correction on the 20 times magnification. I like also that they mark this magnification and don't just say it in the user's manual. Then the turrets that are very easy to zero with only one screw. The parallax, it's very finely adjustable, and especially that they include mounting rings and flip-up covers. It's really nice. And where do I see some room for improvements? First of all, that Vector Optics doesn't mention the right weight on their main page, because it's 40 grams difference or almost 50 grams difference that the rifle scope's truly weighs. The scope has 405 millimeters, which is quite long. The elevation range is 50 MOA, which is not very much, and you are quickly out of adjustment, especially with 0 MOA mounting rings. Then the clicks. I don't really like the clicks because you can't really feel them. You hear them, but you have to look on the turret when you make the adjustments when laying behind the scope. What I especially don't like about this scope is that you don't have a round number for the elevation and also for the windage range. I hope you can see, because you are 3, then here should be the 4, and then it's already 3 from the opposite side. At least 8 MOA or 7 MOA, because it's much easier to work with the scope if you have a round number, especially if you make multiple turns. You just calculate the whole numbers together. I think it will be easy to do because you have a lot of space for a bigger turret. Then the markings are not very visible for the clicks or also for the parallax, which is also an easy fix. Just a little bit longer mark would be perfect. It's a really nice scope for small calibers, like 22 LR shooting on precision matches on small targets up to 50 or 100 meters. especially for the price. It's a very affordable rifle scope. So this was a short video review of the Vector Optics Sentinel 10-40x50. If you have any additional questions, click the link below, and if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.